You're listening to She's the Business podcast.
Now, there's so much talk and focus about marketing in this online business world. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody gives tips and hints and all sorts of things about it. However, it is pricing that I see as one of the biggest stumbling blocks that people come up against, that people struggle with. And this struggle can go on for years and years, where you're feeling like you just haven't really got the right pricing and you're not sure what to do about it either. So today's episode, we're going to be talking all about how you can raise your prices without losing your customers, which is probably the number one fear that people have when they're thinking about raising their prices. So stay tuned for this one, coming right up.
Hi, I'm your host, Jessica Osborne, and in my 23 years of business and marketing, I've built many brands to become multi-billion-dollar companies. And just in the last 10 years, I've built 2 online businesses of my own from my dining room table with 2 little babies running around at my feet. I've made it my mission to inspire you to get out of your own way and become the successful business owner who's living the lifestyle you really desire without all the hustle. This is She's the Business podcast, made by women for women. This is your weekly dose of motivation and inspiration.
Now, if you're a coach, a consultant, or a service-based business owner, and you're really tired of being told to do this or that, implementing someone else's method, all of the steps, and then still finding that it's really, really hard to attract the right clients, you're not hitting your profit goals, you're miles away from it, and it's all just feeling super time consuming and hard work. And maybe you just don't even like what they've told you to do. Like maybe they've said, go and cold DM people who you find on Instagram, and you are just not in that energetic space of the cold DM. Well, guess what? This just means that instead of following someone's method, which has worked for them, it's actually about defining your core strategy that underpins these methods that you might use and actually makes any method you choose successful. So you can choose the ones that you like the best. Imagine that. You don't have to do those cold DMs at all. In fact, I highly recommend not doing it. You can choose whatever works for you, and also knowing how to choose the right things so that you've got a flow with no gaps, with no breaks in the journey where people are just dropping through that hole and never making it through to the end. Well, yes, there is a way to do that, right? This is called a strategic framework, where you've got the pieces and there's a way that you put it together. You connect these pieces so that there is flow in your business. So there's alignment with you and alignment with your goals. And this framework I've developed is called the Jam Plan. I offer it to you inside Business Jam, which is my program. Now, this is a coaching program with online content, with live coaching, with training, and with a beautiful supportive community, which I think is so important, that you're not with all this information and figuring it out on your own and feeling like, well, am I doing it right? Am I not doing it right? What is going on? Actually having other people who are there with you, who have similar businesses, who can be your cheer squad, who can give you that support, motivation, and actually also give you some real good feedback as well as getting advice and coaching, of course, from me in the program. Now, that's all waiting for you inside Business Jam. The doors currently, right this moment, are closed. However, they will be opening again, and sooner than you really know. They'll be coming up really soon. So get your name on the wait list now. Now, I have a priority wait list, and this priority wait list is for those who think, I really want to be first. I like to be first in line. I like to get the best seats. I like to have all of the best things, the VIP room at the club with the champagne and the canapes. I like that kind of treatment. Well, if that's you, get your name on the priority wait list, please. And you will be first in line. You'll be first to know. There will be some extra things coming your way that the people who are in the main line won't know about. So get your name on the priority wait list. You will be first to hear about Business Jam when it's opening next. and to be the first ones are able to take that step forward and come into my inner circle and really think about, well, it might not be right for you, but you'll be able to make that choice because you'll be there, you'll be hearing about it before anybody else. So no obligation, of course, you can just put your name on the list. You can still decide at the time whether it's right for you, whether you want to join or not. But by putting your name on the list, it means that you're obviously going to be first and best dressed if you decide to take that step forward. So head over to jessicaosborne.com/business jam waitlist and get your name on the list. I've dropped that link as well below for you in the show notes. So you can go ahead and click on that and get your name on the list right now. And look out for the first goodies that come your way as the VIPs on my priority list.
Today's episode is all about pricing, and pricing is one of those topics that I think is really, really important to bring to the table, to have a discussion about, because you probably are aware not everybody is talking about pricing. We often have grown up in I know I certainly did, so maybe you did as well, but in a family, in a culture, a society where it just was not polite to talk about money. We didn't talk about how much we earned. We didn't talk about how much we had. We didn't talk about any of that. And so you're coming into business and suddenly you are selling your services, you've got to talk about money to at least those clients or prospects who you're trying to, have a relationship with. And suddenly you've got to feel very comfortable talking about money. Now, that's good. It's good for us to know where that's come from. And it's good for us also to recognize, hey, money is just a thing. It's not scary. It's not bad. It's not all of these things that we might have attached to it. And it's perfectly okay to talk about it because we're in a business situation here. There's going to be an exchange for our services. And pricing happens to be a really critical part of your marketing strategy. Okay, it's not actually just about the numbers in the business and all of this serious, businessy talk. Your price helps you attract the right clients. It also helps you to repel the wrong ones. So your price is actually a very strategic thing that you're going to do in your business. And what you'll find is when it's working, when you've actually got that right price for you, that alignment there, you know it. You actually feel it. It's exciting. It works, right? The right clients actually come to you. They convert easily. Everything works like a dream. And the funny thing about this is that most people think because we've grown up in this, we're all consumers. We've grown up in a consumer-based society. We are consumers day in, day out. We're buying things in the shops. And our experience of being a consumer is to walk into a shop and we probably do some price comparisons, right? When we're going to buy something, well, how much is this one? How much is that one? We might weigh them up a bit, but we've definitely been conditioned to look for the deal, to look for sales, to look for all these things. And definitely when we're buying consumer goods, in the supermarket, usually, if we think that the quality is the same, we're probably looking for which one is the best value, i.e., which is the lowest price. But this is completely different when we come into a service-based business. We're not suddenly comparing two different types of apples. There's a huge difference in it. And the real thing that I'd love you to take away from this is it's not about which one has the lowest price. That's actually not what people buy something based on. When we're talking about services and somebody making a decision about who they're going to sign up with, who they're going to choose as their service provider, their coach, whatever it may be that you're offering, it's not about the price. It's about whether they believe you're the right fit for them. So pricing, yes, it is very strategic, but it's not strategic about how can you undercut your competitors. So we're going to get into this in a moment, but I thought it was really useful to start off with the bigger picture and for you to take a moment and reflect, well, what sort of consumer are you? When you go into a shop and you're buying things as a consumer, we're buying products and goods, what are those inbuilt, instinctive behaviors that you have in terms of how you choose what you're going to buy?
Are you looking first for the highest quality? Do you actually go for the highest price? Or are you looking for the lowest price and then coming up a little bit to get the best quality one that you still think is a reasonable price? Now, what is your inbuilt, instinctive, subconscious behavior when you're shopping? Now, I want you then to take a moment to think, well, how much of that then do you apply to your business when you're looking at how you're going to set your pricing? Because we need to make a big separation now between you as a consumer buying some staples for your pantry, maybe buying some shoes or some clothing that you need from a shop, to you selling your service and actually providing a service of value to somebody else who needs that. There's an absolute chasm of a divide of difference between these two situations. And unfortunately, a lot of what we hear out there in the online space, a lot of marketing advice and sales advice that you hear has been created for product-based businesses. So people who are selling a product. And when it's a product, essentially it's like, yes, it's up on a shelf against other products. They're trying to differentiate. They're trying to show the difference. Price in these situations is often about, well, what's the best value I can get for that price? Okay, and pricing is a very different connotation when you're buying products as it does when you're buying services. So let's separate the two. If you're reading any marketing advice, if you're hearing anybody talk about pricing, about strategies, take a moment just to think, is this for product businesses or is this for one-to-one services, or at least high-end group, high-ticket one-to-one services? Because it's not the same. You've got a completely different strategy. When you're going for a mass market, max volume, low cost, that's a different type of approach when you're selling something that is a high touch, high quality, one-to-one service. Okay, they're very, very different. And we need to remember that, because I think it's so easy to get sucked into this void of listening to all of this advice out there and thinking that that has to apply to you, because it doesn't. So we're talking in a roundabout way about this consumerism. Now, one of the reasons why do you think so many service businesses are currently undercharging? And in this place where you're feeling like, well, I know that I should be charging more. I know I need to raise my prices, but I'm absolutely petrified. I'm terrified of doing it. I don't know how to do it. What if I raise my prices and all my customers leave? What if I never make another sale? These are the thoughts that go on inside every single head. And I'm sure you're sitting there nodding, thinking, yes, I've thought the same thing myself. And it keeps you stuck where you are, right? Because you're too afraid. Well, I'm here right now. Yes, I've got some clients. I'm not making what I want to make, but I'm afraid to change it in case it gets worse. And I'm laughing, but I'm laughing because, yes, I had those same thoughts. Like, I've been there as well. And I'd just like to share with you that, when you have worked on your pricing and come to a place where you're really understanding the strategy behind pricing, you'll find that you're more often than not raising your price when it feels like you're not in the right place. And it results in more business and better clients. And so sooner or later, you're actually going to feel really positive about raising your prices, not scared at all, because you know what that is going to mean. It means that you're ready for that next level, you're ready for that shift, and it's absolutely about to happen. So let's get into it. Why do so many service businesses undercharge currently? Why are they setting their pricing so low? Well, I touched on a little part of that a moment ago, and that's about this consumerism that we've brought into our business strategies, what we have known and learnt over our life at buying things. We bring that in and we think that that's the way that you set your pricing. And that, of course, when you're adopting a product-based pricing approach, it's all about the lowest cost, right? So what happens is we tend to go out and look at the market, look at what competitors are doing. What are they doing? How much do they charge? Well, I'll just charge a little bit less than them and then I should get more clients, right? Well, actually, no, not right. Not in a service-based business. And if that is how your market is looking right now, then there's a huge opportunity to step away from that and take a different approach. And I'm going to get onto that in a moment when we talk about how you can avoid price competition. So yes, looking at the market rates, looking at your competitors, setting your prices based on your competitors means that you're going to end up undercharging. And are you wondering why? Why does that mean you're undercharged? Well, think about this for a minute. If you're doing that, then they've likely done it. And the other people in your market have all likely had this same approach to setting their pricing, which means that constantly people are going a little bit lower, a little bit lower, a little bit lower, and undercutting their competitors. So the prices have been coming down over time instead of going up, instead of rising with the consumer price index. They've probably actually been going down and down and down. And what this means is when we're looking at our competitors and basing our pricing on them, you're actually taking on board pricing fears, their money blocks, their own money stuff that's in the background that's forcing them to set their price at what they think they can sell their services at. And it has absolutely nothing to do with what the buyer, your market, your clients, what they're thinking, what they're looking at. Absolutely nothing. You're basing it off what somebody else in your space has thought. And they've never tried to see any different, right? They said it, right? Been there for ages because they're too afraid to move. They've never tried. Well, what happens if I double it? What happens if I raise the price? They're too scared to. So they've chosen that's their place that they're going to be. And you're coming along looking at them thinking, well, that's where I need to be in order to be in this market. Well, think about this for a minute. In every single market, there are people who price high, there are people who price low. A lot more people at the lower end, of course. But there's people, those people who are at the top end who are charging high rates. Are they getting clients? Well, yes, they are, incredibly. And guess what? This is where the service-based thing really comes in and why I get so passionate about it. When you have a service-based business, you have a finite amount of clients you can serve at any time. You're not a product with a huge stack of inventory that you can just, you can sell as many as you like and you're thinking, great, another client, send off all these products. When you're a service, you're providing a service. You've got a capacity. You've got a capacity that you can serve. And that means that, would you rather have, say it's 5 clients at one time, would you rather have 5 clients that are paying $2,000 or 5 clients that are paying $5,000? You still can only serve those 5 clients. So just think about that for a minute. Now, another reason why people often set their prices much lower than they need to, and I'm going to put up my hand and say, I did this one as well. This is very normal. It's thinking that you're a newbie. Right? So you've started a business, your business is new, and suddenly you're thinking, well, that means I'm a newbie. So I'm starting again, just like I was out of graduate school. And I've got to start low. I've got to build up over time. I've got to work my way up. And again, we're applying our past understanding of how the world works and, the old employee mindset, working your way up the ladder. We're applying that to our business. And here's the crazy thing about it. While your business might be new, you're not new. You're not new to what it is that you're offering. You might be new to it being your own business and offering it as a service, but I guarantee if you're doing something, and I hope that you are, doing something that you have some expertise in, you are not new. Just like I wasn't new when I started this business. I had over 20 years of experience in marketing at the time I started it. So why on earth did I suddenly treat myself like I was fresh out of school, had a bit of theory behind me, and I was a newbie? Well, I'm not a newbie. I'd run marketing campaigns for multinational corporations. I had run the whole marketing and comms department, been head of marketing, talking to the board for listed firms. I had launched new brands and businesses all around the world. I had so much experience behind me. It was almost like I hadn't even taken that into consideration. And here I was treating myself as if I'm a newbie, thinking, well, I've got to just start off low. Well, that person over there is charging. Again, I was looking at competitors, doing all this comparison, and then treating myself like I had to start at the bottom of the ladder. Well, that's absolutely ridiculous. As you know, just even listening to me say that, you're thinking, well, why would you think that? You've got 20 years experience. But yes, I did. I thought I was a newbie. And I started there. Luckily, I kind of figured that out pretty quickly, and I made some big jumps up quite soon. But if you have experience and expertise in what it is that you're offering, the fact that your business is new is neither here nor there. That's not what you're not selling to somebody based on, well, hey, yeah, I've got all this experience, but I'm brand new in business. So, I'm starting off at the newbie rates. Please stop discounting your experience and expertise. That is actually what you're selling. It doesn't matter whether your business is new. Imagine if you had a business and then decided to start a new business. Are you going to start at the bottom again? No, of course not. The fact that you've come out of a job and into business doesn't mean that you are starting at the bottom again. So that's another reason why you might be pricing below what you should be. And the third one, I think, and this one again, yes, I think we all tend to have this belief. It's kind of in our subconscious again. There's so much wiring that's gone on in our lives, hasn't there, from when we've grown up and, the life that we've led. But this is thinking that when you're on your own, so say you've started a business, it's just you, right? You're running the business, and it's only you, that you're thinking, well, it's only me, therefore I can't charge the same as a bigger company for this service. And I have to say, well, why not? It's kind of absolutely of no point at all, the fact that it's only you, because your client is after the outcome that you're bringing to them. It's the service that they're buying, not how many people are providing the service. And in my experience, actually, working with many agencies over the years and all sorts of things where there are bigger companies, the more people involved, the actual more overhead there is, the more fluffing around, the longer it takes. It can be less effective to have a bigger team working on something than it can be to have one person who actually really knows their stuff and who's delivering it. So yes, it doesn't matter that it's just you. Even if you're a coach, you're thinking, well, I can't charge the same as this coach over there who's got this big team. Well, I have to say, well, why not? It's got nothing to do with the team. That's the client is not buying the person and the team. They're actually buying the service that's being offered. So what is it you're coaching on? What's that outcome? What's that worth to that person? It's not about you, how many people you have. So now that we've kind of broken down a whole lot of these reasons why you might be undercharging, and it's okay if you kind of thought, oh, goodness, yes, that's me, I'm doing this and this, I'm bringing them up because I've seen them, I've experienced them myself, I've seen them time and time again with the women who join my program, Business Jam. We come in, we do a lot of work around pricing. And it's because, we bring with us all of this stuff from the past, which tends to cloud our strategic view on how we should set our price. So how can you avoid price competition? Well, that's probably the first thing, right? Because you think, well, Jess, you've just told me not to look at competitors, but how do I even gauge what the pricing should be? And I love this question because it is actually a niche that helps you to align your pricing. And the more specific you get with your niche, the more of your own unique space you're actually carving out in the market, which means that your price has less and less and less relevance to what anyone else is doing. I couldn't even tell you what other people in my space might be doing. I don't even know who my competitors are because I waste 0 minutes in my day, in my week, going out there and looking at what they're doing. I actually don't care. They can do whatever they like. They're doing their thing. I'm here doing my thing. And it is actually of no concern to me at all what they're doing because, I'm in a space here. I'm going to attract people who align with what I think and what I believe and my energy and my way of thinking about this stuff. They might have a different way or a different perspective, and other people are going to align with them. And I've never seen anybody who actually does exactly the same as what I do, probably because I've created it from within. I haven't gone out there and thought, I'm going to go and copy what someone else is doing and just put it under my brand. My business, my program, my way of designing a business strategy, that framework, that has been something I've developed myself from my own learning, my own experience. And so it's completely unique to me. I'm not sure if anyone else is doing anything like that, but I don't really care because they're not me. I'm me. And, when you come to work with me, you get me, and you don't get me if you go to work with them. So, it's irrelevant, right? Which means that avoiding price competition is really just means that you need to step into this place and really look at your niche. Look at who you're being. Who is that? What is it that you've got to offer the market? Who is it who you're best going to work with? What is that space that you really want to stake your claim in? What's your unique approach? There's a lot of different factors that come into a niche. Unlike what I hear a lot of people talking about, that a niche is just your specialization. Well, it's not ever just your specialization, because your specialization is a service offering, and that's a service has a person that you're offering it to. So you always need to have minimum of 2 dimensions to your niche: the what it is that you're doing, the who you're doing it for, because those 2 things combine and align to create synchronicity. And I actually like to add in a 3rd dimension, which is what you uniquely bring to it. So thinking about your niche, that is how you avoid price competition, because you step into your own space. And like, how freeing is that? Oh my goodness, so much better, right? Then you create your offers to align with your niche, right? As soon as you understand that and you've got your niche, you really get what that place is in the market that you are stepping into, where you're going to be. It's very clear what your service offering should be. And often I find when people are struggling to even attract clients, or maybe they're getting the wrong sort of clients in and not as profitable as they want to be, there is a disconnect between their niche, their pricing, their offering. It's not connected, and it's because they're basing stuff off other things out there, external factors. And often, like we've been talking about, our own past experiences that have really got nothing to do with the business that you're trying to run today. So when we can break free of all of that and actually create alignment, real connection between these elements of your strategy, you'll find that you completely start to avoid price competition. And you can take a first step today by just stopping looking at your competitors. If you're following them all, go and unfollow them, please. Unfollow them off your social media so that they're not in your face. You don't need to be sucked into that void where you're looking at what they're doing all the time, because it really just starts spinning you off down their path and stops you from staying on your path, which is where you need to be. You might be starting to wonder now, like, what steps do I need to take in order to increase prices? Now I'm feeling like, yes, this is something I could do. I understand why I haven't. I'm ready to stop being afraid of raising my price and actually raise them. So what do you need to do? Well, I'm going to give you a very short version of what we get into inside Business Jam, and how you can kind of really step to this place where you feel powerful and aligned with your pricing, with your message. First of all, just decide on the price, right? So you got to decide on one. That's step 1. Sounds obvious. How long do you spend deciding on pricing? How many calculators are you getting out? Spreadsheets, all of the things and factors that you're doing? Stop. Stop counting your hours. Stop counting things to figure out a price, okay? I just want you to decide on a number. This is what feels good to me for this service. This is what I want to get paid. Decide who this is relevant for, part of your niche, and then just go out there and change a number. Now, I'm going to dive off down a little tangent, Ellie, for a moment, because I said decide what you want to get paid. Now, I think that part of the reason why many of us, especially when we've come from a background of being an employee, why we also undercharge, which I didn't mention earlier, but I'm going to bring it up now because I've just recalled that thing, is we're thinking about the revenue, the price that we put on it, as to what we're getting paid. Now, when we're treating that revenue figure as pay, it sucks us into a place where, yes, we're definitely undercharging because you're not accounting for your business expenses. And you're also probably not hitting your income goals, because again, you're really looking at that revenue, the price that you're putting on it, as what you're getting paid, and then thinking anything you've got to pay in your business is coming out of your earnings. Okay, there's a big shift that we need to take here, and to stop thinking about the price you're putting on your service offering as being what you are getting paid in your business, because it's not. That's what the business is getting paid. You get paid out of that. So what you get paid is the profit. What the business gets paid is to cover the business expenses. And that means that you can now make decisions on what you're going to invest in your business, because it's a smart investment. Well, if I'm going to invest $10 here to effectively make $100, that sounds like a good investment. instead of thinking, well, that's another $10 a month or a week off what it is that I'm earned. Okay. There's a big difference. So what you're pricing here is what your business is getting paid. And yes, even if the business is just you, it's still the business that's getting paid that amount. Then your expenses come out. What you get paid is the profit that's left at the end of the day. So that's just a little side tangent there. But often I find that this can really help you to set effective prices, because while you're thinking about that as what you're getting paid and what you're taking home, you're also bringing in a lot of, some money beliefs and fears and restrictions around what you should be being paid. And maybe you're applying an hourly rate as well. But you're doing that based on what you used to get paid as an employee. And that's not what you're getting paid, that's the business getting paid. So shifting your pricing into thinking, well, okay, what is the business going to get paid for this? And this is actually then going to help cover the costs of running the business. And that will help you to step that up in your mind and feel more comfortable about that number that you're going to decide on, right? Alignment with your price energetically is far more important than any calculator, okay? And this is something that has been fairly new to me. I think I'd say I have grown up with a maths teacher, grandparents, both my grandparents were maths teachers. My dad did a degree in maths. We've got a very, logical, numbers-based upbringing there with my family. And to actually go to a place where I am thinking, well, what is the price I actually want to charge? And I'm not going to base it on anything concrete. I'm not going to figure out hours or hourly rates or anything like that and work it out. I'm actually just going to decide what it is. What is that price? Which is something that I can definitely do in a place where my service offering is really my time. And what am I going to put on that? It's my time. My time, yes, it's valuable, but there is no finite amount for what my time is worth. It's something that can change anytime I want it to, right? And when I say alignment is more important than anything, what I mean by alignment is that you're energetically aligned to this number. You love it. You know that what you're offering is absolutely worth that amount and probably even more, way more in value, right? You love it. You know that your client is getting a great deal, but you are also absolutely thrilled to be receiving this amount to your business, helping you run your business, helping you pay your contractors if you've got VAs, and that you are as well receiving an amount that you love at the end of the day. That's what price alignment means. And the reason why I say this is even more important than, figuring out a number is because if you don't love your price, can you imagine how hard it is to sell your service? It doesn't sell. So anytime you're out of alignment with your price, you don't love it. That's the first sign. If you don't love your price, you're out of alignment with it. And that means that it needs to change. So get comfortable with the fact, as well, that when we're in this place where we know we're ready for a price change, we're out of alignment, we need to change the price. That means that you're ready for the next level in your business, which is amazing. You've just evolved through a whole phase. You're now ready for a next level in your business. And that's going to take a new approach, a new version of you. Yes, a new price. You might actually start thinking, well, hey, I am going to make some smart investments. I'm going to invest in some things that are going to help me to grow more, that I get actually a bigger return back from. Because I'm now not thinking about that price as being what I'm getting paid. I'm thinking about it as what the business is getting paid. And then I've got, money to work with that I can use to make more. When we get going through this evolution and you're going to raise your prices, it's natural that some of your clients that are past clients that were there on your lower rates are not going to come along with you through this evolution. They're going to be stuck. They were, because they're not ready for an evolution as well. And that's okay. That's a very natural process. Some will come with you. Some will stay with you throughout your evolution. Some will rise up with you. Some won't. And part of this process in you learning how to raise your prices without losing your customers is that the fact that when you do shed some through this evolution, what it does is creates a space for new ones to come in, and they're coming in at your new higher prices. This happens so often that I can only say it takes courage, yes, But to be okay with that, to understand that there's an evolutionary process there, and by you up leveling, it means some will fall away, but new ones will come in at the new level. And actually just knowing that, understanding it, believing in it, it does actually happen. It's happened time and time and time again for me. Every time I've felt like I'm ready for a new level, I've gone ahead, changed the price, changed the numbers on the sheet, and it hasn't stopped my sales at all. In fact, usually it improves my conversion amount because I'd been sitting there in a place where I was out of alignment before. So my sales always improve when I go through this. So you might be thinking, well, I've got some clients that I tend to have long term, right? They might be on a retainer, they might be ongoing. And so, you know, what's going to happen to them, especially if they are your ideal client, but they've been paying a certain amount and you want to raise your price, and maybe you actually want to raise it quite dramatically. Maybe you haven't done it for a while and you're like really ready for a big upheaval. Well, there's a few different ways you can approach it, and I can't tell you what's going to be the right way for your business. Only you will know that, but you can work through the different options and figure out which one is going to be right for you. Sometimes, and usually my approach when I raise prices is I raise it for new people coming in. I don't raise up people who are already in, but that's because that works for my business model. It doesn't work for all. Sometimes you're going to have to, yes, raise the prices for everybody who's working with you. And what that means is, you know, my advice would be, you know, hey, they're humans as well. They're going to understand things. Nothing really ever stays the same in the world, and no one would ever expect it. So you don't need to harbor any guilt or worry about their judgment. You know, if they don't like it, okay, well, that's fine. They don't have to stay, do they? That just means that you're opening up the space for those new to come in. Communicate about this early. I think that's the main thing. You know, if you are going to raise prices for everybody, you want them to know ahead of time, this is what's happening, and they can then make a choice and a decision. And maybe you can offer them a couple of choices. You know, perhaps you've got a light version that you could offer them at the same rate that they're doing, or if they want to continue on to the same level that they're at, or you know, maybe you're even adjusting what your packages are, and you're saying, well, if you want to go into the premium one, then it is going to be at a higher rate, and they can decide if they want to or not, because it's not up to you. You're not responsible for them. You're not responsible for what that is that they used to be on. You're offering the service, it's your business, and they can make a choice of what is the right thing for them. And all you need to know is if they decide not to go ahead at all, then they've reached that point where your paths are parting and they're not actually the right fit for you anymore. So it's okay. There will be other people who are the right fit, and you just have to know that. There's so much abundance of people out there in this world. You know, you're never going to be really losing customers by raising your prices. You're only gaining new ones. And that really brings us to the end of this episode. I know I've touched on a lot of really big topics here. And it can be, you know, it can be something that feels scary, awkward. You know, anytime we're talking about money, it can bring up all sorts of emotion and feeling. And I'd just love you to go back through and listen to this again. You might pick up on a few extra things that you didn't pick up on the first time around. And, you know, just really let yourself get comfortable with this. You know, instead of just looking at the what are these bad things that might happen, look as well every time you do that. Well, what about the good things that might happen? What if I attract more new clients who are even better aligned to me, who are at a higher level, who are willing to pay a more premium price and actually really value my stuff? You know, what if by letting some of the people go, it's actually some of those ones who are hard work, not the right fit? Yeah, surely that's a good thing, right? And absolutely, there is good in every situation. I tend to think there's often more good than bad, but we like to focus on the bad. We like to focus on those what ifs that are, you know, negative, because we're trying to avoid risk. We're trying to avoid risk. However, being in business, there is always risk in everything that we're doing. There is nothing that's certain, and the only thing that you need to believe in is yourself. Believe in that you can do it. So I hope you've enjoyed this today. I really do love this. I might do another episode on pricing. Now, if you wanted to hear a bit more about niching, because I touched on that briefly, there has been a recent episode all about your niche, carving out your own space, what to do in a crowded market. Go back and check out those episodes because I go into this topic in a lot more detail. It is, for me, definitely these two topics are really where my niche is. I help people to align their soul aligned niche with their service offering and have a very saleable, not scalable, a saleable and scalable, let's say, service offering. So it's something that's really easy to sell, but it also is at that correct level for you, that you're bringing in what you want to be earning, what you want to have for profit, and even more, to hit those goals, instead of bringing in something that's leaving you falling short of it. So that's where my niche is. I really love this alignment piece. And when you see it fall into place, it is just a beautiful thing. It's absolutely stunning. Just seeing the look of calmness, of clarity, of excitement, of confidence on the faces of my clients when they get that alignment in what it is they're offering and who it's for, their place. And it all just feels so easy and it feels aligned. It feels really good to be offering that service, and really good to be able to receive what it is, the price that you've put on it. It's just a beautiful place to be in, and I really want that for all of you. So if you've enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you would scroll down and tick 5 stars on the Apple Podcasts app if you're on an iPhone or an Apple device, and leave me a short review. I'd love to hear your feedback. If you've enjoyed this episode, love to hear it. If you've got any feedback for me, of course, I'd love to hear that too. And if you happen to be over on Instagram, you could screenshot this episode, post it in your stories, tag me, give me a shout out, or even send me a message and let me know what you enjoyed most out of it. And that's it from me today. Talk to you next week. Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of She's the Business podcast. I hope that you've been enjoying it as much as I have in creating the content to bring to you. So I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate your presence and your attention. Now, if you love the podcast, or maybe you just loved today's episode, then I would absolutely appreciate it if you would go to Apple Podcasts, scroll down, hit the 5 stars, and then leave me a short review about what it was that you really enjoyed in this episode, or maybe in the podcast overall. And when I receive those reviews, then I love to give those reviewers a shout out on my future podcast episodes. So you never know, you may hear your name getting a shout out in a future episode if you do that. So thank you once again for your time, and I'll see you next time on She's the Business.